Thank you for joining us back here. I heard from Philip Kemp. He says it's rough. He's probably been getting about as much sleep as I have. He wishes to thank everybody who has been concerned. He wishes to let everybody know that he got his Bible on Sunday. So that's a good thing. They didn't make him wait till next Friday. So he did get his Bible this time. Hallelujah. And he said his writ should have been in the mail of the Supreme Court yesterday. So we're going to call them up real quick. Again, he wishes to thank everybody who's standing next to him and helping him fight for our freedoms here stateside. Oops.
You have reached the Tennessee Appellate Courts. Our office hours are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you know your party's extension number, you may dial it now. For Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, press 1. Court of Criminal.
Please hold on while I try that extension. Good afternoon, Appellate Court Clerk's office. May I help you?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jonathan Cross, and I was just wondering if y'all have gotten Philip Kemp's writ of Restore Freedom.
I don't think so, but let me check for you. Hold on a moment.
Okay.
Do you know if he's actually filed it? Has anybody spoke with him?
Well, I spoke with him this morning, and he said that he mailed it off on Monday, and it should have gotten there yesterday, I believe.
Where is he at? Do you know?
He's in Washington County.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure he's in the custody of the Washington County Sheriff's Department.
Okay. We do not have it as yet.
Okay, so y'all haven't gotten anything in the mail like that?
Right.
Okay. All right. And
Okay.
I just also wish to let y'all know that, the staff there at the jail were saying that they wouldn't file it in the court there because, the way I would have done it would have been just filing it with the court and have the court fax it over to y'all because y'all have a unified court system.
They have to actually file it here. So we'll watch for it if he's mailed it.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be hearing more about this over the next week.
Okay, very good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I guess they don't have it. And if they do, they're saying they don't. Who knows? Regardless of whether they have it or not, it's still up to you to make sure that he's out by Father's Day, summer solstice, day of the sun. Which father are we going to choose? Which father are you going to choose? Anyways, stick around. I got a video about talking to Mr. T's attorney, Mr. Andrew Tickle's attorney. Hope y'all enjoy. Thank you, beautiful people of the earth, for joining us back here again. Back at my house. And I have the audio recording from me talking to Mr. Atkins. I'm peeing on this first part, so I'm just going to skip over it real quick.
See, I never applied for anything. I never applied for a court.
They probably, sometimes they'll just do it on their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll just say, well, we're going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer.
Okay.
So I didn't know what all happened that day you were in front of Athena and she almost put you in jail.
Yeah, well, she wouldn't answer my questions, and then it was just like, appoint this man, or, and don't say another word. And so I just felt quite intimidated the whole time, absolutely. And so, but as I was in court and heard you talking on my behalf, without me knowing, this whole thing is now that through your actions, you are representing I
was appointed. Now here's what happened. Because you told the guys about what you were selling in the jar, they charged you with felony selling marijuana. Felony.
Okay, whatever that is.
Well, that's serious. Selling. And we had a problem. We had a probable cause hearing.
Yeah.
And the judge found probable cause, and he bound it over to big court, which I hate, because it's always easier to take care of these cases when they're still in district court. Once you get up in big court, bad things happen.
Bad things. He'll say that a lot. Bad things happen. So the court is forcing this man to be Mr. T's attorney. Mr. T doesn't wish for him to be attorned. Mr. T doesn't wish to be attorned. Okay? They're just saying this guy's counsel. Why would they do that if they didn't need to? Huh? Think about it logically. And listen to this guy. He sounds more like the prosecutor. We had a probable cause hearing. We found you guilty. We did this against you and that against you. He sounds like he's prosecuting the case. Now, let me tell you something about this guy. He is an old attorney, has an apple farm, an apple orchard. Most of the time he comes into court, he still has his boots on from being out in the apple farm. He's kind of a, old attorney, hippie, out in the orchard field. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he smoked pot. At all. But he's still playing along with the system.
There is a provision that I could have gotten for you. The DA himself didn't know about the facts that you told the officer you were selling those facts. The DA didn't know that. The officer went up there.
Yeah, the DA is probably the one who made it up.
They said, how much does something like that cost? I said, I don't know, $40. It's like I put my property into little bags. That's okay. He asked me, how much does something like that cost? I said, I don't know, $40. I mean, that is all right outside my driveway here on a private road. Regardless of the fact, it's like, at the moment, I understand that you are my attorney. So anything I ask you legally, you tell me the truth, correct?
I generally tell the truth.
I generally tell the truth? Well, hot mess. You're telling me that I'm looking at maybe 2 years of prison, and you wish for me to trust you and you generally tell the truth? Generally?
How about in law? Would you tell me the truth in law?
Well, of course.
Is that one of those general times? Well, of course. Of course I would tell you the truth. Really? Let's listen.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Who's paying you?
The state's paying me, but what they'll do is if they'll sign a judgment against you for what they pay me. And they don't pay much like they used to when the state went broke.
So it's like they're
I love that part right there. Okay. So, listen to what he just said. He said, you're going to pay me. Well, the state's going to pay me, but then they're going to sign a judgment against you. Okay, regardless of the type of job I do for you, they're going to force you to pay me. But they don't pay much anymore after the state went broke. They don't pay much anymore because the state's broke. And what they do pay, they're going to force upon you as a judgment. And I may or may not be telling you the truth. but I kind of believe him on this one.
Their insurance pays or
Well, it's
whatever.
not insurance, it's just the Supreme Court many, many years ago
Right.
said that people who cannot afford a lawyer and get one appointed, they have to appoint one. The state cannot try people without a lawyer if they want one. If they can't afford one, the state has to provide one for them.
Here's the thing. We don't want you. So why were you appointed? Why were you forced upon the case? If they don't need it.
I don't know if I was appointed because you couldn't afford one. You had to fill out an affidavit to begin with for them to appoint Mara. Things didn't go well between you and Mara, so they appointed me. We had a probable cause hearing, which I didn't want to have one, but we had no choice. I wanted to try to work it out in district court. There's a thing called Chapter 9096, where if you've not had a drug conviction within the past 7 years, have you had a drug conviction
No,
ever?
sir. No, never.
First time ever?
Never. Yeah, so I mean, let me just say something, if that's okay. I want to introduce you to my brother John. I mean, my friend, my best friend. We have a trust together. I trust John 100% totally with my life. We have a close.
Okay. But let me finish telling you what I was telling you.
Okay, I just wanted to.
The probable cause hearing, they found probable cause that's bound over to big court, which means we have to go to Superior Court now, which I don't like going to Superior Court on a case like this. I like to take care of it in district court. If the state is still willing to offer you the 9096, this is what it means. 9096 means you plead guilty to the possession. Right now they got you charged with possession for the purpose of selling. That's bad. But if you reduce it to simple possession and you plead guilty, there's no judgment entered. You have to get an assessment, do a little community service, pay a little bit of money. If you do all that successfully, the case gets dismissed. It gets dismissed against you. And that's the way to go in a case like yours. But say you're kind of, you sort of got a target on you now.
Hey, can I step in here for a minute? He trusts me.
I trust
his life.
He's my brother. We have a.
And, the state, I was there when the state had their probable cause hearing. And I also heard the officer there testify that was a public road. Right?
Well, I don't know where it was. It was either a public road or a public vehicular area.
Okay, well, I mean, he's got witnesses who saw the cop, like, they're his neighbors. They saw the cop arrest him, okay? And this is on a private road. We know, whoa. We know the people who own the road.
What? The cop saw the jar in the car.
Yeah.
He saw property?
Yeah, he saw it in the car.
Okay. So, can the government regulate private property?
Well, sure they can. I mean,
They can? That's why you should be scared out of your mind right now. Can the government regulate private property? Why, sure they can. Really? I thought that was slavery. Or communism. Or despotism. But no, the government can just regulate property, your private property. That's why you should be scared right there.
like, this is my property out here, but because I'm in a business, it's called public vehicular area, and the cops can patrol it. And I don't like that,
Then
but that's the law.
how come, like, when I go up to the East Side YMCA, because I like to go there, my kid goes there after school, and, I'll go up there and work out. How come in the parking lot it says, under the jurisdiction of?
Well,
It says under the jurisdiction of.
Look, it's a PVA, public vehicular area. Used to these gated communities where you can't go in unless you live there. You say that's private property. Well, the legislature said that's public vehicular area. Now the cops can just drive in there. A lot of these private communities have their clubhouse where they serve alcohol on that private property. Well, now the cops can park over here,
And watch them get in their vehicle. And
See?
What's private now?
Yeah,
you hear that? The legislature can just take it away from you. You don't have any rights. There is no private property. And I would actually argue that there is private property, but not if people don't start stopping stuff like this. There won't be. There will not be private property. But did you hear the attorney? Public vehicular area. Does he sound like an attorney trying to defend him, trying to get him out of something, or just trying to get him to plead guilty? Hey, all you gotta do is plead guilty to this 1996. It's real easy. It's real easy. All you gotta do is say you're doing something wrong when you weren't. All you gotta do is lie, because the court actually requires that facts be put on the record, and somebody has to verify those facts, and the court's gonna ask you to lie upon the record of the court so that we can sentence you to a lesser charge.
There almost is nothing now, but what you have to do is be in Superior Court the next time. And we try to see if we can talk them into a 1996 so you don't get a conviction. We could have done it in district court, but they had that hearing, and then after they heard that hearing, they didn't want to do it. But I think we might can find a DA that will do it. To do the 1996. They call it that because that's the number of the statute that provides for you.
That's the number of the statute.
Do a few things, do some community service, and it can get dismissed. It's not intended for people that possess it for the purpose of sale. But
see, we're giving you a deal.
I can talk them into it.
Here's the thing: is that he doesn't understand codes or statutes like.
Well, he just has to listen to what I'm saying.
90, 99.
Well, he just needs to listen to me.
Okay, but. All right. Did you hear that? He doesn't understand. Well, he just has to listen to me. There are so many times when, especially on audios that I have, people are in court and the judge is saying this or that to them, and they're saying, I don't understand. I don't understand. Just like Mr. T, Andrew Tickle, was in the first video I made about him. And Athena was like, if you don't understand me, then you really want a lawyer, because it doesn't get any simpler than this. See, if you don't understand, an attorney can understand on your behalf. If you accept to be attorned, see how that works? All he's got to do is listen to me. He'll understand then. Maybe, if I tell him the truth. Because I try to. Even if he listens to you. Okay, so you've explained that.
Yeah, I've explained to him.
I've explained it. Statute 9099.
No.
The question is, okay, what was the code or statute?
Well,
1996.
yeah.
9096?
I think so.
Was that it?
1996 is the statute that provides a special provision for people who have no record of drugs in the past.
Right.
To be able to plead guilty, but there's no judgment entered.
So you plead
This goes
guilty.
back to an ancient English practice that we have only in North Carolina. In North Carolina, you're not convicted of anything until two things happen. Finding of guilt or an admission of guilt plus the entry of a judgment. And it goes back to the King's days when we were a British colony. When the King's men got in trouble, the King's lawyer would stand up and say to the court, the King prays judge not be continued. It means like don't put the punishment in now. And if they're of good behavior, it's never entered. Well, you see, that's sort of like the 1996 in that.
All right, let me tell you something. Way back in the old days, the king would not have prayed to the court. The king would have ordered the court. The king would have wished to for the court. You know, your wish is my command. But I can guarantee you right now, the king would not have prayed to the court. Again, you hear him say, admission of guilt or findings of being guilty. Okay, see, he's trying to talk Mr. T, Mr. Andrew Tickle, into admitting he's guilty, lying upon the record of the court, to try to give them money to the state and go do community service when they can't even tell him what he's done wrong or who he did it to. How silly is that? And he's trying to make it up like, this is a good deal. This could be maybe the best possible way this could all go. You should really think about this. Because I'm your attorney and I'm honest most of the time. I try to be honest most of the time.
There's no judgment in it. Even though you stand up and plead guilty, then you got to do some things. Pay the money to the court, do your community service, get an assessment. When that's all done, the judge dismisses the case. That's what you need. That's what we should have gotten in district court, but,
This is why I love the Old English law. The Old English law comes up because the public courthouse, but in Old English law, it was around the 1300s, but they kept trying people, and people didn't understand what they were being tried for because they were speaking in Latin. Yeah. So they created something called a Pleadings in English Act so that everybody could understand what they were being tried for. And even at the time of the Revolutionary War, they decided that, everybody needs to understand the nature of the wrong and the cause of the accusation.
And law is always evolving, and so are ethics.
Okay, but the thing is that... What about morals? Are morals always evolving? What about the difference between right and wrong? Is the difference between right and wrong always evolving? Because that's kind of what you're saying. Andrew is sitting here and he looks at this as like they want to take a year of his life. They want to impose some type of fine, some type of hoops.
That's what happens when you violate the law. They impose some kind of punishment.
But who did he harm? Like, where's the nature of the wrong?
When the law says you can't do it, you violate the law. I disagree with the law. Is that a law or a statute? Well, a statute is a law. That's what it is. A statute's a law.
A statute's a law.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a statute of gravity?
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, there's a law of gravity. Is there a statute? Can the legislatures...
You're not making any sense. You're not making any sense. The legislature proclaims what is legal and illegal. They have proclaimed.
So that's not what's lawful and unlawful. That's what's legal and illegal.
It's the same thing. Legal, lawful, illegal, unlawful. It's the same thing. Just two different words that mean the same thing. What you've got to do is make sure I have a good... You see that? Starting to be clear yet? The doublespeak? It means the same thing. Is it a law or a statute? It's a law. Statute, same thing. No, they're not. Have you ever heard of the statute of gravity? No, but I bet you've heard of the law of gravity. Everybody has heard of the law of gravity. If you wish to get really technical, Einstein kind of wrote the statute of gravity. And it's called the law of gravity. Because the law of gravity is really just a theoretical mathematical principle that was written down on how we observe gravity working. Here's the thing, is that you can't just legislate gravity to be opposite for a day or a year or whenever you wish. You can't legislate stopping the sun from coming up in the morning, every morning. It's gonna come up. Or it might not ever go down, Might not go down for 6 months, like at the polls. But you can't just legislate it. Okay? See, the laws of nature, the law of my mans and them up there, they're higher than the laws made by legislatures. Okay? And kind of a fundamental principle, a pillar stone of law in general
is this simple fact right here. Okay? Something that is not real cannot jump into reality, hurt something that is real, and then jump back into non-existence. It can't happen. It's never happened before. Okay? The monster under your bed that isn't really there, that isn't real, cannot come up, terrorize you all night, and then jump back under the bed into the netherworld. It's never happened. Okay? So a fiction cannot harm what's real. That is a fundamental pillar of law. And that's exactly what's going on at court, is that you have corporations or governments pulling in private persons, private people, and harming them, causing them harm, injury, or loss. They gotta go get an attorney. They gotta try and fight it. It could be false half the time. I mean, come on, every single case I've shown you, they won't allow the good people to really use law and put facts on the record, viva voce, with their living voice. But they do follow people who don't put anything on the record, have an attorney that just alleges something happened, and it's like, okay, well, we'll just go along with it. Oh yeah, that order was ambiguous, but we're going to use ambiguity against them. Wow. You better wake up.
Phone number for you, so I can call you.
See, he don't want to
You have
talk
come to Superior
while I was
Court,
there
because
anymore.
if you don't
So he's
come
like,
to Superior Court on court
I'll call you
days,
later.
That's a new charge. That's another violation of the law.
If you don't come to court,
So,
new charge, new problems.
He'll show up. Will you put in a notice for him on his behalf that he's going to be there under duress?
No, I'm not going to do anything like that.
Why would you not do that?
Because it's his duty to come to, or look, 828-201.
It's his duty.
0550.
I won't do what he's telling me to
Call
do.
me if that number changes.
Why
I'd
is
like to
it
be able to
his
get in
duty?
touch with you.
Is he in contract with someone?
Well, you're not making any sense. They found probable cause. He's in Superior Court. If he doesn't
Probable cause of
come
what?
out and arrest him, that's a new crime.
Okay.
You know? And I'm trying to work it out at Superior Court to where we could do a 1996, pay some money, get an assessment, do some community service, and get it dismissed. He's charged with a serious felony of possessing a controlled substance for the purpose of sale.
But what wrong is he charged with? What did he do
Possessing
wrong?
a controlled substance
And
for the
that's
purpose of
wrong.
sale. Yeah, that's a lot more serious than just possessing.
It's serious or it's wrong. Is it wrong?
It's the same. It's illegal because the legislature said it's illegal.
That's fine. But is it wrong? Is it wrong?
Yes, it's wrong because it's illegal. Now, your
Because
question,
the legislature says it's illegal. So in California, it's okay.
because the legislature says it's okay.
Yeah, so really
in the
what we
state of
have here is
Washington, but we're not
licensing.
You see, we're your gods. So we decide different things in different kingdoms of being your gods. But that's still the law, and you gotta follow our law because we are your gods. Don't you get it? Haven't you been listening this whole time? 1996, man. 1996.
California. We're in North Carolina. We're in a conservative South. We're not in California or Oregon or Washington or any of those places.
Okay.
We're down here where there are serious consequences to violating controlled substance laws. I don't believe in controlled substance laws. I am what you call a libertarian. I don't believe in the government having all this authority, but you have to deal with reality. And right now we're dealing with reality. What I'm trying to do is to get you not to be convicted. By hoping I can
By talking you into convicting yourself.
You're contracted into his representation.
I'm not contracted anything. I've been appointed by the court. I'm not contracted anything.
Okay,
Except
well,
my duty as a lawyer once I'm appointed is to do my best.
Who stole his right to speak for himself?
What?
Who stole his right to speak for
I don't know
himself?
that anybody stole it, but if he
Well, you said
accepted
the
it,
court appointed you.
That's right.
Who was acting on the court's behalf?
The court was.
The court can't think. It can't imagine.
Oh God, you're not making any sense at all.
a court is a figment of the imagination.
No, the court is the judge.
The court is the judge.
The court is the judge that told the clerk to appoint him or a mayor.
The court is more than one individual, one man or one woman.
No, you're playing with words.
Prosecutor.
Look, I'm getting very upset about this.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, I can understand why an attorney would get upset with talking to me about law, considering how well Jody Everett's did. And she's at least a judicial officer. See how upset he gets? See, I can't answer questions. See the questions he did answer. The legislature, the states, they're going to take it from you, but you should go in and plead guilty anyways. And now the state has just forced you to pay me to talk you into going in and pleading guilty. What a deal did you get? That's awesome. Honestly, in a lot of ways, it would have saved this man a lot of problems by the end. Think about that. Think about that. They still can't even tell him what he did wrong.
The court is the judge.
I'm ready to go home. I've had a long day. You have a nice afternoon.
Okay, you too. My job is to try to keep you from being convicted of a crime. That's my job. Yes.
By telling you to go plead guilty.
I'll call you, and we'll see what we can do. That's fine.
He's like, I'm going to call you when you don't have that crazy guy around.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for staying open late for us.
They did stay open late for
That's my
us.
job. That's my job. All right.
Do you know when you're supposed to be in court again?
Yeah, on the 11th, October 11th.
October 11th, I believe.
Yeah.
October 11th.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
That's right.
In the meantime, I'll try to talk to the DA to see if he'll give you a 1996 so you don't get convicted of a felony.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
I'm
this.
just trying to work this out for you, buddy. I'm going to go talk to my other buddies, and we're going to work this out, and you'll be good. Just come play over here on this side of the
Oh, you
field.
do have a resident card.
Don't play in law.
Okay.
That's not going to help you.
Bad things won't go happen to you.
Did you hear that? He basically just
Oh, you
threatened
do have
him.
a resident card. Within your legal. Okay, all right. Okay. Just want to make sure bad things won't go happen to you.
Y'all have a good evening.
Okay.
See how many times he talked about bad things happening to you? Alright, so let's go over some of this paperwork. This is where he wrote to the officer that arrested him. Basically said, hey man, how can we work this out? I don't know what I did wrong, but you seem to be the one charging me, so can we work that wrong out in the private? That way we don't have to use court. So here he's writing a notice saying, I, Andrew D. Tickle, give notice of my effort to settle this matter on the private side. And he, he told him that he wrote to the officer to try to work it out on the private side. And they came back and said that he was like trying to bribe him or something. What? For real? Get out of here. Okay, so this is the contract that Lee Atkins was saying he doesn't agree to. He's not going to agree to because they're forcing Lee Atkins onto Andrew. Andrew doesn't wish to be attorneyed. So here's the contract that we wrote out for him. I enter into contract for the privilege of acting as attorney for the man known as Andrew Derek Tickle. I agree to bear all liability for file number, and the file number. I agree to give Andrew Tickle fair and just compensation for acting as defendant in said file number, $50 Federal Reserve notes in the form of a Cracker Barrel gift card per court appearance. We were actually kind of trying to make it a little funny. Like, hey, a laughing jury's not a hanging jury. This last one is my favorite. This is purely Andrew's silliness. I agree not to wear a crimson-colored tie in the courtroom, as Andrew does not like this color shade. And I think that he really tried to go out of his way to have a crimson-colored tie every time he knew that Andrew was going to be there. Shows you how honorable they are. And they're going to force you to do whatever they want, and they won't contract with you. They won't even respect your wishes. Okay. He does not consent to act as defendant in this said case. If any man or woman wishes to represent him, they could consent upon contracting with them, upon saying that they were going to sign that silly contract right there. He does not understand the customs and language of the legal society. He's in search of the nature of the wrong. He filed 3 questions. They took him out. I didn't realize that until just now. They absolutely took out the 3 questions that he filed. I don't remember exactly what they were, but it was probably something like the nature of the wrong and the cause of the accusation and who verifies the wrongdoing, like who is it, who's saying this. Anyways, they took out the 3 questions, so I can't tell you for sure what all 3 of them were. But I'm telling you that they were probably somewhere right around that kind of area of everything that we've been saying all the time over and over again. So this is when he got the audio from the other court that you heard where he was in there with Athena Brooks. So I don't know how much of this stuff I'm going to go through. All right, here's a document right here. This was entered in October 11th. So Lee Atkins would not inform the court that his client was under duress, and Andrew didn't wish to be his client. But Lee Atkins moved for the court to have a continuance. Okay, here's the judgment order disposition. And who did it? Lee Atkins. Lee Atkins. See, he even wrote to Athena Brooks and pointed this out to her that, hey, you forced an attorney on me. I believe you exercised a privilege of appointing myself an attorney. I do not consent until my contract is signed. Court clerks informed myself that he does not have the authority to sign order for I to appear at court on 9/27/2017. If you wish for I to appear, sign order and return to I. So they wouldn't order him to return, but they put down a court date. Let me go ahead and tell you, they would have gone and arrested him had he not shown up. So here's where he's telling Lee Atkins that he accepts the contract by way of his actions. Okay? So he's telling Lee Atkins, he's notifying the court that Lee Atkins is improper to represent him because he is unwilling to contract with him. Lee informs him that he tells him the truth in legal matters most of the time. Like, I generally tell the truth. And Lee cannot explain the nature of the wrong in a way that he understands. Like, Lee couldn't explain why what he was being charged with was wrong, except for, because the legislature said so. And Lee is not willing to, quite literally, represent his interest as being under duress. Okay, like he said, I wish for you to tell the court I'm under duress. Well, I'm not going to do that because you have a duty. How do I have a duty? Where did this duty come from? When did I consent to perform this duty? He won't tell them that he's under duress. That's the way Andrew feels, and the attorney who's supposed to represent him will not represent that idea. That's what happens. Okay, this is a notice requiring a discharge. Notice no claim. The no claim had been filed upon the record. No answers, and that's why in that one recording where the first video I made about this case, it was like, the district attorney is not required to answer your questions. We're not required to answer your questions. You're not required to know what's going on here. But you got to understand me, and you got to plead guilty or not guilty, and you got to either have an attorney, represent yourself, or we'll give you an attorney. How much sense does that make? All right, that's his appearance. Okay, a prejudice. This is after he filed all of this stuff, and they didn't let it go. Okay, this is probably the first time I'd ever seen it go this far after I got involved and not known why. Very seriously. So, it's like, let's put this on the record. Notice, prejudice. I believe there is an in-group, out-group mentality happening to I. I believe the officers of the court are in-group, quote-unquote, in-group, and I believe I am seen as member of the out-group, quote-unquote. Okay, and it says C.F. Henry Chafal, I can't pronounce his last name. Anyways, he's the psychologist who came up with this in-group, out-group theory. Okay. Basically like, hey, look, all of you guys are working against me. You force this attorney upon me to try and go along with your program. I think y'all are all putting me outside. Y'all are all leaving me out in the dark. There is no justice going on here. This is all prejudicial. Okay? They didn't seem to care. I was like, huh. He gives them notice that they're administrating his property, his body, without his consent or rights. So, notice of jury. See, again, I ain't quite gotten this far. And there are some things that are kind of interesting. There are things that I have learned when they have ran over people by giving them the entire circus and charade about the trial that I would have never learned if the government didn't start just running over people, giving them the entire circus and charade. I don't know if that makes it a good thing or a bad thing. But, at this point in time, basically I was like, you can't work it out with them. Get a jury. And by the end, it doesn't really matter if they don't have a duly qualified judgment. And when I get to that, you're going to understand why orders and judgments should have to be verified before they can be executed. Hopefully. Okay, appearance. He's giving them notice again that he'll appear at court on the 13th of November, okay, to settle any matter of wrongdoing or controversy. He was going to leave at 11, because the thing that he kept on telling me that was so irritating is that they basically took up his entire day. So he was like, I can be there for a couple of hours. I don't wish to be there all day. And I said, all right, then tell him when you're going to be there to settle the matter of controversy. So he says between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And I guess they knew that we were just going to walk out at 11, which is why, when they actually threw him into the psychological ward to, get his head examined, because he just wishes to know who he did wrong to and what he did, and if he can settle it in private. Since they knew that we were all going to walk out at 11 a.m., I guess that's why they called him and made that little circus and charade that happened. He notifies them that he doesn't understand. Notice of understand. I do not understand the court, nor the court I. I require the third party impartial witness to verify claim of wrongdoing, to settle this matter. Like, look, as soon as you guys have a verified claim of wrongdoing and third party impartial witness, I'll settle it. I'll settle it immediately. I don't wish to be here. You guys don't wish for me here. What's the problem? Problem is that they're just lawless. Okay, so, because at the next one, you're going to, I told you, watch how they respect his right to counsel when he actually wishes to exercise it. Like, they're going to force an attorney on him, but when he actually wishes to exercise his right, just watch and see what happens. So he gives them this notice of trust, saying that he's in trust with me. Okay? Well, he doesn't say who I am, but he says he's in trust with one man who is willing to act as next friend if the court so desires. Somebody that maybe you guys can understand each other. So, and then of course he does not consent to Atkins, because this was after his October hearing. And the next part of this paperwork is going to start at the next video after y'all watch this video. And I'm talking about his case again. So, with that being said, look, this was the first time I ever saw this. I don't know why it happened this way, but for real, by the time it got this far, I was really, really concerned as to why they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. Why were they not upholding the law all of a sudden? And I know how many people are like, well, they were always lawless. They've always been lawless. No. When people did true law, don't get me wrong. There are some times when something's too political, too much out in the media, they're still going to run over it regardless. But for the most part, they didn't know who you were, and you went in there and performed true law, like right off the bat. I never saw them run over anybody. I saw it happen a lot of times. So what's going on here? I don't know. And when you go in and you perform it and you pull it off right off the bat, it's kind of like, when you know law, when you know what's going on, you won't have to show me the videos and the audios and all of that stuff. I'll be able to look at you and know. Because it's pretty easily recognizable. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Hope you're enjoying this case. I hope people are calling up to the Supreme Court, County Court, Sheriff's Office for Kemp. I'm sure he's probably getting about as much sleep as I am. Hopefully somebody has confirmed that he's gotten a Bible, if you call the Sheriff's Department. And look at all of these audios. Look at all of these recordings. Why do I have to do the legislature? We're your gods. The courts are gods. God made government. Anyways, we are just conspiracy, and we just wish to conspire with other good people as plan to leave a better world for future generations than the world we all grew up in. Peace.